So you're just doing it separate?
Yep. Okay, I'm going to start in a minute. No. Okay, we'll give it a minute to let people come on. And I did post on the Facebook, I posted the Zoom link so you can see the actual Tanya that we're going to learn. We're holding on chapter 43. As I said, you can go into Zoom, you can click the Zoom link, or you can open your own Tanya or listen into the Tanya. So we're going to start the class. Chapter 43 in Tanya. The Alter Rebbe continues to explain a concept in the Mishnah. In the Mishnah, we find it says in the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos and Ethics of Our Fathers, where we started to learn the last Shabbos, we started to learn Ethics of Our Fathers. It's a custom that we learn Pirkei Avos between the world in general learns it between Pesach and Shavuot. Chabad actually learns Pirkei Avos the entire till Rosh Hashanah, and we learn Ethics of Our Fathers. It's called Milsa de Chasidusa, meaning that in the book of Ethics of Our Fathers we find the very hidden things of Chassidus, of Kabbalah, that our sages wanted to teach us. And there's beautiful. You should learn. You should read it. Actually, we're going to be starting a class on Tuesday night at 7:30 in Pirkei Avos. 7:30. We can come and learn. Also, you can do it on. We're going to do it on Zoom, so you can actually follow. If you don't have a Pirkei Avos, it's an every siddur. If you don't have Pirkei Avos, you can follow it on the Zoom on the page that's in front of you. So in the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, it says, Im ein chachma, im ein yira, ein chachma. Mishnah says, if there's no fear, there's no wisdom. And then it says, Im ein chachma, ein yira. If there's no wisdom, there's not any fear. That's the Mishnah in Ethics of Our Fathers. So what is the meaning of that Mishnah? What's the meaning of the Mishnah? If there's no fear, there's no wisdom. And if there's no wisdom, there's no fear. How is it possible? What do you do first? For the first part of the Mishnah, it sounds you have to do first fear. And for the second part of the Mishnah, it sounds that you have to do first wisdom. So the answer that Chassidus gives is that there are two levels of fear, and there are two levels of love. Which in Tanya, it's called Yira Tata and Yira Ilah, and Ava Tata and Ava Ilah. That is Yira Tata, there's a lower level of fear, and there's a higher level of fear. So in the simple Mishnah it means, Im ein Yira, if there's no lower level of fear, Yira Tata, if there's no low level of fear, Ein Chachma, there's no wisdom. It's impossible to have wisdom, to contemplate something if you don't have a trepidation, a feeling of respect, a feeling of fear to the subject that I'm learning. And that's why you have expression in different Mishnah. If a student doesn't fear his teacher, he cannot learn. But that's a lower level of fear, because that brings to the beginning of wisdom. So a parent has to also educate his child with a lower level of fear. With the child should, in the beginning, as a child doesn't understand the concept of respect and to be in awe of his parents. In the beginning, the parent has to sort of put the rules down to the child, and has to tell the child what he needs to do and what he shouldn't do. And then that brings a child to have wisdom and to have the concept of to learn. And then the Mishnah continues, if there's no true understanding from the student to the teacher, or from the teacher, the student to the teacher, or from the teacher, even from the teacher to the student, you don't have a higher level of fear, which is the concept of, as the Chassidus will explain, the aspect of busha, the aspect of embarrassment, the respect, and deep understanding of between the student and the teacher. So the Alter Rebbe in chapter 42 explained a bit about Yira Tata, which is going to start again, and then he's going to go into Yira Ilah, into the higher level of fear. So into the higher level of fear. So that's Alter Rebbe concerning this level of Yira Tata, concerning this level of Yid, the lower level of Yida, which is set in the previous chapter. That is that in the province of every Jew. So there's also a concept of Yida Tata and Yidillah between the service between man and God. Between man and God, just like there's a concept between humans, between a teacher and a student, between a parent and a child. There's an aspect of this concept of this level of fear. So too, there's between man and God. There's an aspect of Yira Tata, a lower level of fear, and there's a concept of a higher level of fear. What is the concept of the lower level of fear? What do we want to accomplish? What does the Torah want to accomplish when the Torah said that when Moses says to the Jewish people, Ma Hashem Elokecha shoyel mimach, what is God asking from you? What is God asking from you? God is asking you for one thing, Ki im liyira. God is asking for you to fear Him. So the Gemara answers, is a fear milsa zutasi? Is a fear an easy thing? And the Gemara answers, Legabe Moshe mitl zutasi, because to Moshe Rabbeinu, it's an easy thing. And the Alter Rebbe says, what does that help to answer? How does that answer the question? The question was, is it by every Jew an easy thing? And the Gemara answers, to Moshe Rabbeinu it's easy. So the Alter Rebbe said that to Moshe Rabbeinu, because we each and every one of us have a spark of Moshe Rabbeinu within us. And that gives us a level of fear. And that gives each and every of us a level of fear. In what concept? In the aspect of doing the right thing. Sur meira, from going away from the opposite of good. Vasei toiv, and to doing the aspect of good. Going away from bad and doing good. That level of fear, we have so to say this fear of heaven. We are another expression of Maminim, B'nei Maminim. Jews are believers, sons of believers. We may be translated in the concept of guilt, Chas v'shalom. That's not fear, because guilt just makes us depressed, and we have this guilt issue. No, we're not looking for guilt. We're looking for the concept that our level of fear brings us to do the right thing. That we do what is right, and we don't do what is wrong. So that's it. So that's the turn in both ears of turn away from evil and do good. That means not to do a sin, God forbid, and to do what is right. That's like a child. That's like a child. Do what is right. The parent says, I'm boss. You need to follow the directions that I give you. And that's the concept of basic fear. The basic concept of fear of something. Where we have the concept of fear. Is Amru, on this the sages said in Pirkei Avos, Im ein yira ein chacham. So that's the beginning of any education, the beginning of any kind of aspect of a relationship between two people. If one needs to be educated, if one needs to be taught, he needs to have a basic concept of fear. He needs to have a basic concept that the person that is educating him has the authority, so to say, and has the capability of telling him what to do. And if he doesn't have that, if the other person doesn't think that he has to have this relationship, then he's not going to have this. Then it ain't chachma. We'll never learn from each other. So that's why it says humility brings to learn from one another. Who is a wise individual? Somebody can learn from anybody. Well, how can you learn from somebody else? Because you have to be humble. You have to be The aspect of humility. I say, I can learn from somebody else. You have something to teach me. I'm not smarter than you in everything. I'm not stronger than you. I'm not better than you. There's something that you can teach me, and there's something that I can teach you. We can learn from one another. Why? Because we have this concept that you have something that I don't have. If I think that you have nothing that I don't have, so then why do I need to learn from you? So I'll never come to wisdom. I'll never come to Emein Yira and Chachma. I'll never come to the concept of wisdom. I have nothing to learn from you. That I understand that I have something to learn from you. So now you have something that you need to give me, and that's a very basic relationship. That's like a child. The parent says, if you're not going to listen, I'm not going to give you the candy. It's very basic. If you're going to listen to me, I'll give you the candy. You're not going to listen to me, I won't give you the candy. So too, we have this relationship between each other. We have this relationship between teacher and student. We have this relationship between even the spouse and you're not going to be nice to me. I'm not going to be nice to you, and you're not going to behave. I'm not going to do things for you. And we have this relationship that we have to behave to get something. So basically, we're behaving to receive something. And it's a give and take situation. That's life. We live that kind of way. It's a very basic, immature. It's called Yira Tata. It's not the ultimate, but it's a beginning. And hopefully the relationship grows between the student and teacher. The relationship grows between the husband and wife. The relationship grows between man and God, and we reach out of that. We leave that level. So we have in the basic, you have in the Torah also reward and punishment. In the Torah says, if you follow my commandments, I'll give you all you need. So basically, it's a give and take relationship, But then we have the Mishnah in Ethics of our Father. It says, don't be like servants who serve God for the sake of receiving some kind of a reward. I'm doing it for the sake of a reward. What do you mean? The Torah says that I'm going to give you a reward. Why shouldn't I do it for the sake of reward? If the Torah itself says there is reward and punishment, one of the basic principles of Yiddishkeit that Rambam says, my mother says, is the concept of a reward and punishment. There's a concept of receiving a reward, and then Chas v'Shalom, we say it in the Shema every day. If you're not going to follow the commandments, I'm going to close the heavens, I'm going to do terrible things. You have the Teichachas. So that's the basic principles of Yiddishkeit. It's part of the Torah, and it is. Concept of reward and punishment is an aspect in the Torah, and the Rambam says that helps us in free choice. If I don't believe in reward and punishment, I lose my concept of free choice in a way. So I have to believe. I have a concept of doing something good, I get a reward. If I do something bad, God forbid, there's going to be repercussions. That's the first level. That's the concept of part of the basis of education, and that's why, in truth is, that's why the Mishnah starts off that way. That's why the Mishnah starts off the way. The Mishnah starts off, midah keneged midah, correct, Russ? There's a concept of midah keneged midah, but that's a little deeper. I mean, that's basically to believe that's midah keneged midah. We have to believe that what we do wrong, the Eibishter does exactly. That's what we say, Baruch Dayan Emes. Blessed are you, is the true judge, because we believe that's midah keneged midah. But as a child, when your parents punish you, you don't think it's midah keneged. You run to your room, you slam the door. You don't think it's midah keneged midah. You think your parents are disgusting. They overdid it. Later, you come older, you say, "Wow, actually, they did it out of love. They love me. They didn't do it out of because they were not midah keneged midah." But when I'm immature and I'm younger, I never think that the repercussions of my parents was midah keneged midah. I always thought they were overhanded and they did things. Their punishments were totally not in the same category as my act of evil, and that's the way, because we're immature. But if we didn't have that level, since we're immature, that's why the relationship is immature. And the truth is, that's the concept that Alter Rebbe says over here. Look at it. He says over here, the lower level of fear comprises of a quality of smallness and a quality of greatness. Meaning that as an immature person, smallness and greatness is the concept of the mind. The Gemara says, an oshir. What's an oshir? in the Talmud? What's an Usher? What's somebody who's rich? Because it says, Ezu Usher, the ethics of our fathers, is written, Ezu Usher, who is a wealthy man? A person is happy with his lot. So what is a real rich man? So Gemara answers, Ein Usher ela bedas. An Usher, wealth, and the opposite of wealth, is in the mind. It's really in the mind. You can find a wealthy person who is extremely worried and he can't sleep at night and he's extremely worried of everything that he has. And basically his wealth is bringing him unhappiness. And his wealth is bringing him anxieties and his wealth is bringing him troubles. And people hate him and people are after him and he feels he has to run away. And if he has to hide, it's aspect. Then you have a concept of wealth, of a person that is not so wealthy and he's very happy. He's happy with what he has because it's all in his mind. So really every person should be wealthy physically, and wealthy spiritually. Meaning a person should be bedas in his mind. He should have the greatness of mind. He shouldn't have the smallness of mind. So being wealthy in this concept of yira, you can have it in a small-minded way, and you can take it a little bit more broad-minded. And that is hopefully the journey of every person as he matures. He becomes more broad-minded. He has gadlus hamoichin, which in Chassidus is called the broadness of the mind. You have to have broadness of the mind. Actually, it's brought down that is Yetzias Mitzrayim. The broadness of the mind. Every morning, I wake up in the morning. I need to develop my mind. I need to go from narrowness to broadness of the mind. Gadlus hamoichin. Be able to handle more things. To be able to comprehend more things. You know, a person, the Mishnah says, who's a wise, a person who learns from everything. Person who learns from everything. The Baal Shem Tov said that you have to learn. That's the Mishnah says who's a smart man who learns from every person. Baal Shem Tov went even further and said that a Jew has to have hashgacha pratis, he has to believe in divine providence, that everything that he sees a leaf that is flying down the street, he has to learn from that too. So now you have to be in a broader mind. You have to not learn from somebody else. You're going to come teach me something. I have to learn from anything. I see the tree outside. I need to learn from it. I see a leaf on the street. I need to learn from it. I have to have the broadness of mind. How do I be able to learn so many things? I open up the door. I'm already supposed to learn. I'm sitting here in my living room. I'm supposed to learn. There's all in front of me. There's a lot of books, and behind me there's a lot of books. There's a lot to learn. I have to learn. I have to have broadness of mind. So I can have a narrow-minded. I can be a narrow-minded person, and I can have katnis hameichin, which is the lower level of fear. I'm afraid of the whip of my parents. I'm afraid of the stick that the teachers used to have. I'm afraid of God. God said, I'm going to punish you. You're going to go to Gehenna. All these kind of things. I have this concept of fear, and that's a lower fear. So what do I need it for? What do I need it for? I'm not a child anymore. I'm an adult. What do I need this katnas hameichin? This katnas hameichin gives me the capability, this lower level of fear, which every Jew needs to have. We all need to have also a katnas hameichin. We all need to have a katnas of fear. It's in the Torah. That we need to fear HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We need to love God, and we need to have a little bit of fear of Him. That's the aspect of it's brought down. The concept of the base of Yiddishkeit is Kabbalah Soil, accept the yoke of heaven. So I need to have a little bit of fear. I need to be afraid of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I say it in the Shema, and I said, you say it in the Shema, you have to say. I'm the concept of in Lois Yishmael Hashem Elokeichem. If you're not going to listen to God, I'm going to do things. I'm going to close the heavens. I'm going to look. Today you don't have to go to that. You see what's happening in the world. So the Eibush to have to fear HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We have to have fear for what? For what reason? So this means fear the quality of the greatness. That when a Jew thinks about for a moment, he has his bonus in the greatness of God. And which level the greatness of God? The Iu Memala Kol Alma, that the Eibishter God fills the world. The Eibishter fills the world. That means God is Gocha Pratis. God is running the world. He doesn't. Not God is in the heavens, and He runs the world from the heavens, and He's a king of the world. No, The Eibishter comes down, God comes down, fills the world. He's ba'olam hazeh tachten. Right? That's the greatness of God. Greatness of God is not that he's a great God that's in heaven. No, the greatness of God is that he can come down and he can be in this world like he's in the heaven. Malor, as the Eibishter fills the world. There's no place that's void of God in the world. So God is in the heavens and he's sitting right next to me. That's really the aspect of the greatness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that he's sitting right next to me. V'hina Hashem, the Rebbe would always want a child to learn the pasuk. The verse says, "V'hina Hashem nitzav alav." The Eibishter is standing right on top of him. Not that God is a powerful king who's sitting in some kind of palace, someplace, who knows where, in some heavens. No, the Eibishter God is Memalek Olam. He encompasses the world and he fills the world. He's sitting in this world. It becomes a very practical thing. It's not just a spiritual concept. The Eibishter is in everything in the world. And from the earth to the heavens, distance of 500 years, and the distance from one heaven to the next is another journey of 500 years. So if you think about it, the Eibishter is in this world, and in the Gemara and the Talmud it says it's 7 worlds, 7 heavens. 7 heavens. And for each heaven it takes 500 years travel, or whatever that means, with a rocket ship, or the speed of light, or whatever that means. Because this was written in the time, what does it mean in Gemara? 500 years. That takes 500 years. So this explains it different than the actual 500 number, 500 years, 500 levels. The feet, the lowest levels of the angels are called chayes, measures up to all of them. It says the feet of the angels. That's what it says. You have to be fear of the angels. The angels are very big. They're 500. They're like they go from one. Some of them reach from one. Their feet are in the ground and their heads in the first heaven. That's 500 years traveling. Question: you're traveling on a spinning rocket ship, or you're traveling on a donkey? But you have. That means that there's a vast space. There's vast levels. When you say there's 7 heavens, and between each and every heaven it travels 500 years, you're saying that there's a vast place. So between this heaven, between the earth and the first heaven, is 500 years of traveling. Maybe that's the first, when you have the first black hole, that's the first heaven. I don't know. See, the Hubble telescope is still traveling and trying to find the deepest that could be to the first heaven. You haven't reached anywhere. They haven't gone too much in the first heaven. So there's 7 more heavens. They can keep on traveling deeper and deeper. So you realize how vast things are. You realize by understanding the world. That's what the Gemara tells us, 7 heavens. Why would the Gemara tell us 7 heavens? It's just trying to tell you that if you think how much this world is, you just think of the greatness of this world, you realize how vast it is. You realize how small you are. How big am I? There's 7 heavens. You know how many stars there are in the heavens? You can't count it. There's trillions, quadrillions of stars in the heaven. 8 mazalas. Whatever, I'm not an astronomer. But in a basic concept, you just think about basic in the Gemara. It's not this, not Chassidus, in the Gemara. The Gemara says the Eibishter that there are 7 heavens, and between each heaven and takes 500 years of traveling. And all of this, so similarly, if one with this contemplation on the involvement of all the worlds, one above the other to the utmost highest, the most spiritual worlds. In Chassidus, you have 4 worlds. It's even higher than these 7 heavens when you start the heavens. So you have 4 worlds. All these are spiritual worlds. Elam Atzilas, the world of emanation, the world of creation, the world of formation, the world of action. In this world of action, you have these 7 heavens. So we're talking about a vast expansion of space and spirit and levels. There's so much going on, as it's brought in the Gemara. How many angels are there? How many angels? We talk about angels. How many angels are there in the heaven? How many angels are there all over the world? The Gemara says it's an unlimited amount of angels. You have an unlimited amount of angels. That it says every blade of grass has its own angel. You have a concept of unbelievable amounts. Unbelievable amounts. How many amounts? Last week you had the laws of kosher. How many birds are kosher? You know that most birds are kosher. Hundreds of different species of birds are kosher. We don't eat most of those birds. We don't eat most of those birds. Most of the birds, we only eat a very limited amount of birds. A chicken, some people don't even eat a turkey. But there's very limited amount of chicken, of dove. But actually, the truth, most birds out there, flying around out there, are kosher. We don't know the kashrus of birds. And therefore, we don't eat most birds. We don't eat all birds. We only eat a very limited amount of birds. There's an unbelievable amount of animals, etc. in the world. There's an unbelievable amount. There's unbelievable amount of species in the world. And the Eibishter, God, all created this aspect for this world. All the upper worlds and all the higher worlds and all the spiritual worlds and all these things in the world, we say in ethics of our fathers, also in Pirkei Avos, and that's a father, Bishvili Nivra Elam. The whole world and all these upper worlds and all these higher, all these angels and all these spiritual entities were all created thus for a human being. So a person thinks about this, thinks about how the Eibishter fills all these worlds, the Malach Kalam, and he fills all these creations. He created all these creations, from animals to trees to plants to humans to angels to levels and levels upon levels upon levels. Wow, this is an amazing concept. This is an amazing power. Who could have created all these entities in a very practical way? Who could have created all these entities? That's what you think about. If you think that Avram Avinu, when we, as children, we were brought up, that Avram Avinu, we learned from Avram Avinu. He looked at the stars, he contemplated the world. It's very simple. You think about the world. You think about the vastness of the world. That this world is so vast, so deep, so much. And if you go a little more deeper in the Gemara, you go to different levels, the heavens. So we're still trying to find out the depthness of the sea, and we're still trying to travel to the heavens. We're still trying to reach the heavens. And you think about it in a very simple way. That Rambam, Maimonides says the same thing. If you think about all these things, you have to come to the realization of the greatness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You got to come to that concept. Or else, the Rambam says, if you cannot think about these things and come to the concept of the greatness of God, you're basically a fool. So if I just thought about it, and I just contemplated it, and I realized how great the Eibishter is, I'm gonna have some humility. I'm gonna realize I'm just a small thing in this whole world. And even though I'm a small thing in this whole world as a human being, but I am the ultimate in creation. I'm the ultimate in creation. The Eibishter created all this, all for humanity, all for the human being. And he put the whole world in our hands. Bishvili Nivra Elam. The whole world was created for me. He put this whole vastness and this whole greatness in my hand and in my choice that I could make it a better world, like Chashon make it a worse world. I could bring good, and God forbid I could bring bad. So the Eibishter, God gave me unbelievable power. I can be the best person in the world. I can help people, and God forbid I can hurt people. I can hurt the world. As a Jew, I'm not only afraid of people, the aspect of that I want to make sure that I'm good to people. I want to also take care of the world. The Eibishter gave me the world. About tashchis, the aspect of not to do waste. To make sure to protect the world. I'm into the environment too. A Jew needs to make sure the world is a good world. Tikkun olam, to make sure the world is a good world. Because the world was created for me. If I break the world, how can I be able to do my spiritual part of the world if I don't have a healthy physical world? See, today I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, but I'm missing right now a very important thing, and that is that we don't have community events. We're not in shul. Can I daven home? Yeah, but and therefore, why? Because of a physical thing, because of a little virus who's stopping the world, who's stopping as a Jewish person, stopping a Jew from his avodas Hashem, from his serving God. So therefore, I see how important it is to be the world is to me. How important something that I can't even see is important to me, to make sure that I don't have this and others don't have it. This little thing that I can't even see. Maybe shows the world that ultimately Yad Hashem. It says by the Egyptians when they came to the lice, something that they couldn't see, they said Yad Hashem. Until then, everything that the Egyptians, that Moses and Aaron did, they copied it. Then it came to something they couldn't copy. Came to the lice, they couldn't copy it. They said Yad Hashem was too small for them to create through magic or to create through their own their own vices or whatever they use. So when then they said Yad Hashem, then they said, oh, this is the hand of God. It's out of our control. So therefore, think about it, the Alter Rebbe says. Think about how the Eibishter fills the world, how the Eibishter, in his imagination, came up and creates and gives life to everything in the world. From a blade of grass to an angel, to souls, to humans, to every aspect in the world. That's Hashgacha Pratis. That's one of the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov. That when I go and see a blade of glass, I shouldn't go and destroy it just for the sake of nothing, because you don't believe in Hashgacha Pratis. So the Eibishter gave me the right to cut my grass, to make sure that it's nice. But to destroy my grass, I don't have the right to do that. Because the Eibishter wanted I should see the beauty in his creation, and to see how the Eibishter created this entity in the world, and it has a purpose. So therefore, thus thinking about that concept should bring an aspect of respect, an aspect of see the awness of the awesomeness, the power of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, power of God, that he has the capability to do all this. Just imagine if you had a guy who came up with a cure to this. He would be a world fame, right? Everybody who invented something that helped humanity became famous. He got the Nobel Peace Prize. I'll get the Nobel Peace Prize. Imagine the person who's going to come up with a cure to this virus. He's going to get a Nobel Prize, and he deserves it. We'll give him a Nobel Peace Prize. We'll make him the richest guy. He'll come in the most famous guy in the world. For what? Because he came up with this thing to heal. One ailment. Greatest invention, I was once asked a group of people there, what was the greatest invention in the last 100 years? The greatest that saved billions of people was penicillin. Penicillin, the guy who invented penicillin. We know who invented it. I'm not sure right now. But he invented penicillin. And because of him, billions of people were saved. He got the Nobel Peace Prize, deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. And he deserves to be recognized forever for his accomplishment of saving billions of people. The Eibishter does that every single day. God created everything, even the penicillin that a person invented or brought out. He didn't invent it; he brought it out. It was there. He just brought it out. The Eibishter put everything there. God put everything there, and that person brought it out. As it says, Makdim Raful Makkah. When the Eibishter brings a Makkah, the Gemara says when the Eibishter God brings a Makkah, brings a sickness to the world, he also always has a refuah someplace. There's some place out there that there is a refuah, there's a healing. Makdim refuah Makkah, the Gemara says. The Eibishter always brings the refuah before the Makkah. He makes sure that there is a healing there. You're going to find it. That is the partnership of men. Go find the refuah. Go find the refuah. Go pray. You should find it. That's what we need to pray. That somebody should find the refuah. It says, it's brought down that every doctor has a malach that's with him, gives him the capability to heal. It's a great schus to be a doctor, to heal, because you were given a special malach that gives you the capability to heal. If you're, the Zohar says, if you're a specialist, wow, you have an unbelievable malach that goes with you. Ani Hashem reifech, as it says, Ani Hashem reifech, I'm God who heals you, but I heal you through this doctor. I heal you through this messenger, this physical messenger. And therefore, even though it says Ani Hashem reifech, I'm God who heals you, so you have those who say, okay, I'm not going to go to a doctor, I'm going to go to God. No, David says that you need to go to a doctor. I'm the one who heals you, but you need to go to this physical doctor. And this physical doctor, even though he's healing you, he's only a messenger of healing. He's my messenger. And he heals you. And that's why every day in our davening, in Shemona Esrei, we say the Fein Hashem and Enof. We ask God for healing. Because we understand that we ask God for healing, and in which way that we're praying to the Eibishter, that the God is going to give us healing through Teva, through an act of Teva, that we're going to go to the doctor, and this doctor is going to be the shliach, is going to be the right messenger for this healing, and I'm going to get healed. And if he's not, I'm going to go find another doctor. Maybe this doctor doesn't have a strong enough malach that's with him to give me the healing. I'm not going to blame the doctor. No, I gotta go, maybe I need to daven more and find another doctor, another messenger. I told the story of my father, a blessed memory. He once had a growth on his hand. And he was going from doctor to doctor, big doctors. Nobody they couldn't help him. They didn't know what it was. Gave him this thing, do that thing, this regimen, that regimen. I was once walking with him on East Flatbush, Church Avenue, Church and 52nd. Church is 52nd. There was opened up a clinic. They opened up this clinic, this clinic, this walking clinic, like they have now a lot of these things, emergency care. There was this walking clinic. So we were walking on Church Avenue, me and him, and he said, "You know what? There's a walking clinic. It's opened up. I'm gonna go into the walking clinic." Maybe he walked in. He told him we want to see the doctor. We both went to see the doctor. It was a young guy, an African American guy, nice guy. Just came out of a doctor school. He looked at it. He said, "Oh, he took out of his closet a little thing. I think it was zinc. I don't remember. A little tube. Said, try this, Rabbi, and I maybe this will help you." And he did it. It was a $25. I don't remember those days. It was a $10 visit, and it healed. With God. Rabbi. Traveled all over the place to find the specialist. This was the specialist. This was the shliach. This young guy was the shliach of the Eibishter, who said, try this, and the Eibishter healed him. So you have to have both. So that's what the Alter Rebbe says. That brings you to this level of Yiddah, brings you to a basic aspect of fear HaKadosh, to realize that God runs the world. But it comes from the world. I have to have fear of God, because the Eibishter shows power. That's what happened in Egypt. God had to bring 10 plagues to show his power. He had to use the world to show his power. He had to make the world into blood. He had to take frogs and then throw it at the Egyptians. He had to bring lice. He had to kill the animal. He had to use the world to bring about that, to show the power of the Eibishter. That's like a child. That is Yiddah Tata. Ultimately accomplished that the Pharaoh let the Jews out. So God forced upon the Pharaoh through sending him physical things. Didn't sit down with the Pharaoh and had great contemplation. He sat down. He said to Pharaoh, "You're not gonna let the Jews out. I'm gonna send you the frogs." And that's what happened. To us, the same thing. We have this relationship with God, and we're afraid of punishment. We're afraid that God's going to send frogs. He's going to send hail. He's going to send he's going to send a virus, God forbid. And that's Yiddah Tata. That is the concept of Yiddah. That's what Alter Rebbe said. Nevertheless, this fear is called external and inferior fear. Yiddah Tata. Why? Since it's derived from the world. If I need to see the greatness of God from the world, then it's connected to the world. Then it's connected to something physical, and that's connected to something, a physical world, shows an aspect of chitzonis. It shows an aspect of the outer concept, not an inner concept, not a very deep concept. But I need to look at the world. I need to use that. The Eibishter showed me something in the world, shows me something, then I need to learn from it. God shows us something in the world. God shows the power that He has in the world. It should wake us all up. We should realize that the Eibishter, God is controlling the world. I mean, that's very basic. The Eibishter is controlling the world. And He could stop the world, He can create the world, He can uplift the world. He can, God forbid, bring the world down a little bit. He can bring humility to the world. He can bring humbleness to the world. That's what the Eibishter does in a very practical way. That's what God did in Egypt. We just celebrated Yetzias Mitzrayim. The Eibishter brought Makis to Mitzrayim. He says, I brought these plagues to Egypt so that they will know my power. They think they're big knackers. They think they're big people. They think they're more powerful. They think they can subjugate other people. They think they're gods. I'm going to show them. I'm going to bring some humility to them. I'm going to teach them humility. Not only teach them humility, I'm going to teach the Jewish nation to have humility. Hopefully they will see it, and they will learn from it. Hopefully we will see. We go through the story of going out of Mitzrayim. We go through the story, and we mention the 10 plagues. But it's interesting, because when we mention the 10 plagues, we pour out wine. Why do we pour out wine? Because we feel the pain of even the Egyptians. Why? Why? Because we feel bad for the Egyptians. We're not looking for the punishment of our enemies. You're hoping that they become our friends without going through pain and suffering. Why would anybody want the pain and suffering of anybody? We say in Ethics of Our Fathers, even with the downfall of your enemies, you shouldn't be happy. The famous story of a mayor. A mayor, the famous Tanya, the famous sage in the Gemara. The Gemara says, had a very famous wife, very smart wife, Bruya. And the Gemara says that once a mayor said, we actually say the statement every Yom Kippur. The Gemara in our prayers, the statement I'm going to tell you, what Bruya told her husband, Ameya. So the mayor had this guy Bar Yonim. He had these guys that were bothering him, that were not letting him live. So he said one day, I'm going to shul. He told his wife, I'm going to shul that God should eradicate them. God forbid. Get rid of them. So she said in a statement, if you have the power to pray that they should disappear, this evil people should disappear, why don't you pray better that the evil should disappear from them? Why don't you pray that it should come an end to evil, not to the evildoers? If your prayer is so powerful, and you have the capability to eradicate evil, not the evildoers. If you eradicate evil, then you will not be the evildoers. We say that statement. We ask God. God should bring an end to evil, not to evil people. Because there's no thing as evil people if you don't have evil. People would not do evil if they weren't given. They didn't have a taiva to do evil. They didn't have a desire to do evil. Right? The Gemara says, a person doesn't do a sin. He doesn't do a sin out of spite. Who does a sin out of spite? People do sins because they have desires. They have an evil inclination. So you got to blame the source, not the person that does it. So therefore, we realize that when God punishes a sinner, when God punished the Egyptians, we pour out the wine. We say we don't want that. It's a sad thing. Even though it was a necessity that God did, because God had to bring the Egyptians to their knees, and He had to bring them down. But that was I don't say an evil necessity. That was a gevura necessity, a necessity of severity. We say, God forbid somebody passed away, we say, Baruch Dayanemes, blessed are you the true judge. And then we say that God should eradicate death from the world. How do you put the two together? If it's Baruch Dayanemes, so why are you saying that God should eradicate death? That's the way God judges. No, because we're saying God should stop judgment. If God would eradicate evil from the world, there wouldn't be death. The Eibusha says openly in the Torah, the reason that there's death in the world is because there's sin in the world. So if God would eradicate sin from the world, there wouldn't be death in the world. And that's why it says when Mashiach comes, there's not going to be death in the world. We're going to live forever. Why? Because there won't be sin in the world. If there's no sin in the world, there's no death. So if the Eibusha would get rid of sin, and there wouldn't be the desire to do sin, because there'll be a revelation of godlessness in the world, and therefore, why would we sin? And if we're not going to sin, there won't be the aspect of misa in the world. We will live forever. So, therefore, right now, the Eibusha wants to work through the world, through the aspects of the world. That's why you have, even in a nest, in an aspect of a miracle, Chassidus explains that you have the aspect of nest, b'derech hateva, a nest that's within the world, and you have a nest, l'mayla b'derech hateva, a miracle that's above and beyond the world. Like the nest of Purim, b'derech hateva, seemingly was a story of a miracle. A Purim that we celebrated is a nest that happened within the world, within the boundaries of the world. That it was such a nest that happened within the boundaries of the world that is not even mentioning God's name in the whole Megillah. So in Pesach, we say, no, the only God. It was the only God. There was no messenger. You saw the hand of God. When it comes to Purim, we say the opposite. We say this was total b'derech nes, Mordechai and Esther. Megillah Esther. The Megillah of Esther. What's a greater nest? If you think of what is a greater nest? What's a greater nest? A nest that comes through humans, or a nest that comes from God Himself? Well, according to the Gemara, it says that the nest of Purim will never be forgotten, and the nest of Esther, the nest of Pesach, the coming Mashiach will be remembered, but it'll be so it says the back burner of miracles. That's a whole different subject. Let's go back to over here. So what's wrong when you have oilimus? For they are the garments of the king, the Holy One, blessed be you, who conceals and hides the clothes himself in them. That's the world. The world in Hebrew is called oilam. Chassidus say oilam, the world. There's a lot of meanings to the word oilam, but one of the meanings to it comes from the helam, which is hidden. The world hides. What does it hide? It hides God, which means it hides the truth. It hides the truth. You look at a tree, and that's what it says. You say, "Mano ilonzeh." You look at a tree, you say, "Oh wow, it's a beautiful tree." It's not a beautiful tree. It's a beautiful godliness that made this tree. Without God, you wouldn't have this tree. So it's the godliness that gives it an existence. It's the God that made it beautiful. Why are you talking about the tree? The tree is only an expression of God's will that it should be this beautiful tree. So therefore, the Gemara says in Pirkei Avos, Ethics Father, we should all learn. It says the same thing. If a person is learning Torah and suddenly he says how beautiful this tree is, terrible thing. Because you should say, wow, how the great creation of God that created this tree. Not how beautiful the tree is. The tree is nothing. One of the expressions that's brought down that Rabbi Avinu said, "Anechi afar ve'efer," I'm the dust and ashes. It's like a tree. He said, I'm like a tree. So you have this beautiful tree. When you burn the tree, what do you have? It comes down to its basic core of the tree is ashes. You take this beautiful tree, you burn it, take away all the elements of the tree, it comes down to a little pile of ashes. Anechi afar ve'efer. How big as I think I am, how great I think I am. I'm my basic components. I bust up a little pile of ashes. So really, it's a nitzah key. We have it in the ethics of our Father again. It says, that if a person realizes he came from nothing, he goes to nothing. His physical side of him came from nothing, goes to nothing. And really, what's important is who he needs to make. He needs to make a din v'cheshbon. Who he needs to stand before. He has to realize that he's standing before God now and later. He's always standing before God. For who you're going to give a judgment to, that is God. That is there before, now, and after. Before I came to the world, I was a part of God. Now I'm in the world, I'm a part of God. I'm ultimately, after 120 years, and Mashiach doesn't come, my body's going to turn to earth. I'm still part of God. And that has not changed. So the physicality has changed. It was here, it did what it did, and now it's not here. And the spirituality continues. So that's really what's the most important thing. So therefore, if I would realize that essence, I would never come to do a sin. But I don't. I think my body, my helen, that's the hiddenness of the body. That's the power of the body. The body hides the truth and hides the spark of God so well that the body thinks it's its own identity. That's the hiddenness of the world. That the world thinks it has its own agenda. It's not run by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. My body thinks it has its own agenda. So to say, it's its own thing. The soul, yeah, I believe I have a soul. He has his agenda, and I have my agenda. We have two different agendas. Sometimes I listen to his agenda, sometimes I don't. That's fooling myself. That is denying the truth. And I can do that. I can live my whole life denying the truth. And nothing, and nobody's going to hurt me. I didn't do an Aveda. I'm not talking about doing a sin. I can live my whole life not knowing the truth, and I've not done a sin, and not hurt anybody either. I hurt myself. I hurt my own self by not doing the truth, by not revealing the truth. I've hurt my own self. So therefore, I need to reveal the truth. I need to reveal within me. Within this world, that's the first level. I need to look at myself and realize that who I am is only because I have a godly soul. I have a soul. I have God who wants me to be in existence. Every blade of glass has God that should be in existence. The Eibishter fills every part of the world. Everything in this world is there because God wants it to be. God wants it to be there. And look what a beautiful world it is. Look what a beautiful world it is. And God wants that this should be a part of every person's existence. And I think the Gemara says that when a person comes up to the world, one of the first questions that God asked him after 120 years, or even actually every day, it's brought down, when your neshama comes to heaven, God asks you to enjoy the world. Did you enjoy this world? Today it's going to be a good question. I can't enjoy the world. I'm sitting at home. So it's hard to enjoy the world. But that's a good question. Did you enjoy the world? Did you take the world for granted? Did you take life for granted? Did you take your friends for granted? Did you take shul for granted? Did you take this beautiful world for granted? Like it just, it's just there. Oh, I can just get on a plane and go to who knows where. Indonesia. I can go to see the Alps. We take these things for granted. Like it's there for picture taking. God created these beautiful places so we can take pictures and we can go on vacation. No, the Abishah created every part of the world because there was a purpose in creation. So we got to think about that. We can't take the will for granted. We can't take physicality for granted. We can't take our health for granted. We can't take our body for granted. And we got to realize that the Abishah gave us a body, He gave us a goof, He gave us the world, so that we would be able to reveal the true purpose in it. So you use this vessel to realize that there's just like there's a godly purpose in my soul, there's a godly purpose in my body. There's a godly purpose in everything in the world. That's when we make a mistake. We always think there's a godly purpose in a synagogue. Abishah showed us all, no. Yiddishkeit doesn't have to be in the synagogue. Doesn't have to be in the synagogue. You can be a frum, a yid, a religious, and godly Jew anywhere in the world. And this synagogue is closed. The shuls are closed. The schools are closed. Everything is closed. Yiddishkeit moved to the house. We moved Judaism to the house. It should not be forever. Hopefully very soon. But what did it show us? That we can have Yiddishkeit is not purpose and agenda and the journey of my soul's life is not only in shul, it's in my house, it's anywhere. It's everywhere. But ultimately, that's what the Rebbe says. That's what Alter Rebbe says. This to be able to break through this cloth to the garments of the soul, to be able to realize that these are garments of of godliness. The world is a garment to God. My soul, my body is a garment to my soul. It's only that this fear serves as a gate and an entrance to the performance of Torah and mitzvahs. This is the entrance. So I break the world. I reveal the hiddenness of the world. I break the hiddenness of the world. I reveal its true purpose. That's dust is shar. That's just the opening to the next level. But I need to first do this level. If I cannot break the world, if I cannot reveal the world, if I cannot see the greatness of God in the world, then how do I go to higher? How do I go to the next level of Yireh Ilah, to the aspect of the higher level of fear? If I, to me, the world is such a powerful thing, and to me, the Gashmis has its own agenda, and I cannot break this physical side of me. I cannot break this mundane side of me. How am I supposed to go to a higher level of spirituality? How can I go to a deeper level? It's impossible. That's why the Mishnah says, "Im ein yira, ein chachma." If I don't have a basic understanding, if I cannot see godliness in the world, if I cannot break through to see that how God is the power of the world, which is the aspect in the Chassidus, is memala kalam, how God fills this world, and He's standing upon me, He's with me. Now, in any kind of as the expression it says, the chol tzara in every kind of pain, God is with me in this pain. He's with me in the pain. He's with me, He's right there. Then how am I supposed to come to the next level of chachma, to a higher level of chachma, of wisdom? Im ein chachma, if there's no true wisdom, where there's no true fear. So, wow, an hour flew by. An hour fly by when you're having fun. So it's been a great learning together. We're going to continue Mitchem, we're holding in the chapter 43, beautiful chapter of Tanya, with the Alter Rebbe is gonna start saying, however, as for Yirei Allah, we're gonna start the Mitchem next week. However, as for Yirei Allah, a fear standing for the sense of shame before God's greatness. That's going to be even a much deeper level, going out of the world and seeing godliness in a much higher level than the physical eye. Maybe it has to have the spiritual eye. You shall see God, and that's the next part of chapter 43. Tanya, a beautiful part of Tanya. The classes, I think we advertise the classes. There's classes that I give, and there's classes that my wife gives. The next class I'm giving is going to be a new mimer on Tuesday morning. It's going to be at 6:15 in the morning. I want to try to keep the schedule. So we, when this comes to an end, we can go back to the 6:15 schedule. So we're going to still learn on Tuesday mornings, learn a new mimer, a new discourse at 6:15. It will be taped, so it's shared on TorahDirect.com. You can see all the classes, my wife's and myself, so Menashe, his classes also will be there, TorahDirect.com. We're just starting a new class this week on Tuesday at TorahDirect.com and on Zoom. It's going to be the same Zoom number for all my classes and for all Rabbi Sechani's classes. All the same Zoom link. So you just keep that link, the Zoom link that is connected to all my classes, and the Zoom link that's connected to all Chani's classes. All our classes are going to be on Facebook, TorahDirect.com, and also Zoom. My classes to the link of my classes. It ends with a 7-6. I'm not sure. I'll share it every time, or Chani's classes. There's going to be, I give a Gemara class also on Monday night at 8 o'clock. You can also watch it in these two places. With Masechta Gittin, a beautiful Masechta. And on Tuesday night this week, I'm starting a class in Pirkei Avos, Ethics of Our Fathers. We're going to start from the first chapter. And my wife's classes, I don't know when her classes is. I'm sure it's been advertised. And Friday morning in Mitchem, again the Chassidus class, and we give a little speech before Shabbos, and much Shabbos Havdalah. So learning never ends, my friend. And but don't get used to this. We Mitchem gonna come together in learning together face to face. Panim upon him, and the learning will keep us together. Pirkei Avos class is on Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. 7:30 p.m. Tuesday night. We're going to learn Pirkei Avos. You're welcome to come. If you cannot come to the class live, it's going to be saved. It's going to be saved on TorahDirect.com. That's Facebook, TorahDirect.com. I want to thank Paul Pinchas for doing TorahDirect.com, and it's amazing, truly amazing. I looked on the thing. I think in the last month it reached out to 40,000 people have connected to TorahDirect.com. It's amazing how a person created this site, and 40,000 people were connected to one of the shiurim in the past month, in the last 30 days. So you see the power of using out the Gashmias, using out the internet, and using out these places to be able to reach out to thousands of Jews. There's 40,000 Jews throughout the world. I mean, you couldn't do that in a show. You can't fit 40,000 in my show. But through this medium, thousands. And therefore you should Pinchas David, right? Pinchas David, the mother's protecting him. And that's our top fan. So I want to thank him, and he should continue to use out these mediums, and we should invite people to this Torah Direct. You can invite your friends, so more people would learn Torah and connect to Torah from all the different classes that I've been giving by Chabad of Westbrook. I want to thank you all. Have a wonderful day. Have a great day, and you're all welcome, Mitchem, to the Gemara class, to the Kabbalah class the Tuesday morning, and to Tuesday night the Pirkei Avos class, and all of my wife's classes, and Rabbi Menashe Amita's classes that are also on every day on Torah Direct. Learning never ends. God bless you all. Have a wonderful and beautiful day.